and it's time for the Game Sports Podcast. It's your host, David McCaig Jr. The game is powered by 91 Network. That is a YouTube channel that you can head on over and check out the video editions of the game and also other podcasts as well. And the game is also featured on Spaces, which is through Today and Village Media. Check out your space near your location today. Launched in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, but has certainly expanded, and there's a lot of spaces that you can check out. The Game Sports Podcast is also featured on all social media channels and all audio platforms. You can be tuned in from video, audio. Maybe you got here from a click on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Maybe you heard from a friend. Whatever the case may be, make sure you hit like, follow, and subscribe on all the content for the Game Sports Podcast. Now, what an exciting edition we have. We're going to have baseball, and obviously, I got my Blue Jays merch on. And look, as a sports podcast, we talk about all sports, and we make sure we eliminate the bias. But when you're a fan of a team, you're going to give a little bit of extra love to that. So we're going to be talking about the World Series preview in our Strike Zone segment. We're going to have a Chuck a Puck and a Top Shelf segment. So Jordan Trudeau will be coming by. We also hope Trudes can jump on into Strike Zone. And we'll have Brendan McCarthy joining me for the Top Shelf segment. And to conclude the show, we will have In the Pocket with myself and Justin Hykel, and potentially Dane Hancho maybe making his return to the Game Sports Podcast. But as of now, it'll just be myself and Justin. But I want to make sure that I cover all the holes and make sure I get you looped in on all the stuff that we are going to be talking about. You know what? I'm in a great mood. I'm in the best mood that I can be, because not only, did the Toronto Blue Jays win, not only are the Blue Jays going to the World Series for the first time in over 30 years, 1993. I was born in 91. Okay. I don't remember 92, 93. Maybe I did see it on the television, but my brain didn't keep that in. But it's because Toronto can actually have nice things. On a recent edition of the Game Sports Podcast, you can see on the thumbnail, Toronto is cursed. Is Toronto cursed? Sorry. As I promote my own thumbnail incorrectly off the hop there. Is Toronto cursed? The question mark. You got Stolarz. We had Guerrero on there. Look, the Raptors have won a championship. The Leafs can't win a Game 7 or get past the second round, and it took them a long time to get past the first, nonetheless. The Jays haven't went to the ALCS since 2016, or 2015. In 2016, they had a decent run as well. They 2015 and 16 making the LCS. You have the loss against Cleveland. They lost against Kansas City. And then you have now 10 years essentially later, the Jays are going to the World Series and defeating the Seattle Mariners. They defeated the Yankees and the Mariners to get there. Now their opponent that they're waiting for is the Dodgers. Lots of things. Toronto sports can have nice things, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. I don't want to get into too much until Connor is able to jump on. Now, look, we're going to sit here. I got to make sure I give a special shout out. All right, right out of the gate. 3 minutes in. I'm probably 3 minutes too late on this. But it's October 21st, the day of this recording. I want to give a special shout out to Alex Parr. Look, Alex Parr is going out for dinner tonight. He's got plans. The guy, is moving to a new location. He's got, and still in Ottawa, folks. Not coming back to Soo. I don't want to give anyone excited. But that man is somebody that jumped on this show randomly when we were getting featured on Soo Online. And I said, who is this Alex Parr guy? Yeah, you know what? Sure, let him on. We'll see how he does. And ever since then, that guy's been a heartbeat of the show. He's one of our new family members, because everybody knows here on the Game Sports Podcast, we've been around for 10 years. And Alex Parr, hasn't been around for the full 10, but he's been around for well over near 7. So Parr, I still consider him a part of the OG family. But Alex Parr, there's this guy sitting on the panel when we were on. I can't believe I said who we were on with, the program that we were partnered with at the time, which, hey, nonetheless, everything's a great experience. But Alex Parr sitting beside me talking to me about sports, this guy is fire. Not only that, he's a Toronto fan. We had a lot of things in common. And then he's also a video gamer. Look, this guy is pure energy, and I was so glad to have him a part of the family. And today's his birthday, and I want to celebrate his birthday on this show by saying that I love him and that he is a heartbeat of the show, and happy birthday to the one and the absolute only Alex Parr. We all appreciate you, and it's from all of us here on the Game Sports Podcast, not just including myself, also from my wife, from my son, my 4-month-old son, from my dog, Blaze. Look, we all love Alex Parr. And look, if you ever want to play video games, that's a guy that you got to play video games with, or get in an argument about Toronto sports. Look, he'll tell you how it is. Okay. Now, look, he did surprise us and grace us with his, well, should I say presence, Jordan Trudeau.
I'm here.
You are here, and you are wearing a shirt that is, let's just say, fitting. And as am I. Man, let's do this. How you feeling?
Well, it was a very happy day for us Blue Jay fans, wasn't it? For
Sure
what
was.
seems like forever. I feel great. I felt great. Seeing that is historic. It's one of those things that's historic. Yeah. It's all the cliches, right? It was not pretty, number one. Like, it was not pretty, number one. Number two, it was history in the making for Toronto, for Canada, for the Blue Jays, for Vladimir Guerrero. It's funny to think that George Springer has been there before. He's done things like this before, so to him it's probably just like, it's another day at the office. But for Toronto, it's and for Canada, it's a huge moment, and it's a historic moment, and I'm so glad that we got to live it. And I'm so glad that this team, this Cinderella story of a team, gets to continue their dream of a playoff run. It's outstanding.
It's great.
Speechless.
And right now, I know we're waiting for Connor to jump on because you're jumping on to both. And I know I'm not going to lie to you, Trudes, because I lied to you last time. It's going to eat into a little bit of Chuck-a-Puck time. Okay. And then, you know what? This hot news when you talk about the World Series right now. Okay. And it's going to eat into both Chuck-a-Puck and Top Shelf time. Look, our core sports on this show is hockey. Everybody knows that. That is what well, actually, football and hockey were the two we got known for because of In the Pocket. I can't credit football or discredit football, but we're definitely going to give a little bit of love as we wait for Connor Henderson to come on. I think I might have confused him because, of course, I started a couple minutes late. But you know what my excuse is? I got a toddler at home. Sorry, infant. Toddler. I'm sorry. I forget the ages. He's 4 months old. Okay. Still call him a newborn. Whatever you want to call him. I had to go for a walk. I had to do this. Yeah. I had to bathe. Look, all the excuses. And I didn't get start recording until about 5 minutes later than I thought I would. So it's my fault. I'm allowed to do that. But we are going to do Strike Zone first, as Connor is going to be coming in shortly. He's going to be signed on. And there he is, and just in queue as we're talking. Look at the look on this guy. He is so good looking. I can't.
Well, it's a big weekend for him. I think
it sure is. It sure is. I saved that. I said happy birthday to Parr because today's happy birthday to Parr. He gets a vacation day today. He won't be attending our show. I approved a vacation day. It's not the only thing that's big today and this weekend that we should be talking about on this show, is it, Connor?
No, the Jays actually did the thing, Dave. They're in the World Series. And I'm getting married in a couple of days, but, you know.
I'm not attending the wedding, very sadly and unfortunate. Got a little something, but that doesn't matter. As it sits right here beside me, we got to make sure. But nonetheless, I will miss and I will be there in spirit and know that when I am there, I'm wearing a Blue Jays suit, though, when I'm there. Okay? That's it. And Connor, look, what did I say the World Series is going to be this year?
You called it. You said Blue Jays Dodgers, and with conviction, too. It wasn't like I'm a fan. It was with belief, and I love to see it.
Was that 3 year? I think, I'm not going to lie, I think that's my third year in a row. Might be my third year in a row I called it. I'm just saying. And I've called the winners. And what did I say, Connor? And I haven't even introduced Strike Zone properly yet, but I'll do that in a second. We're already on fire. Connor, what did I just say the truths, and just in case people didn't hear it, who did I say was going to win the World Series?
Yeah, I think you put your money on the Dodgers, unfortunately, but I know we're all rooting for the Jays here, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, look, I'm no bias on the show. I said that right from the start. So let me say it. Strike Zone we're going to get into right now. We got Connor Henderson. Connor, we already said how you're doing. You're already looking great. You're getting married. We know you're doing good. We already introduced Trudes. Trudes, you hear on Chuck-a-Puck. He's going to be joining us on Strike Zone. Actually, Trudes is like pure baseball knowledge, and he gave me a nice curveball down the pipe this year that gave me a nice little line drive in men's league. But his men's league team still hasn't played the finals, but we won't get into that. We don't have enough time for that today to talk about that nonsense. But the trophy is theirs. But we do have enough time to talk about the nonsense that has occurred in the playoffs here for the MLB, and this Dodgers have been nonsense because their rotation has been absolutely stupid. Shohei Ohtani has been Shohei Ohtani. The Blue Jays have been just that team that is biting at your ankles like that Chihuahua. You know, just biting. They're not out of games. They battle. That team is so damn exciting to watch. And then the Yankees getting beat by the Blue Jays. Yankees fans chirping the hell out of the Jays fans because we're down 0-2 against Seattle. And look who's laughing now. Look, a lot of chaos this playoffs, but I think it's been so exciting, Connor. I'll start with you. Mariners, Blue Jays, Game 7. 7th inning. I think we all know 7th inning when you're a Toronto Blue Jay fan. You gotta say it from an unbiased from a Tiger fan perspective, outside and with your knowledge in baseball. What happened that worked well for the Blue Jays? What worked to get them in the dub in Game 7?
You know what? Sometimes it takes one guy to break through. George Springer is one of the best playoff performers in the modern baseball era. Jordan Trudes and I were texting earlier today, and Jordan said something that's really important is, hits are contagious. Springer.
That's what my wife said. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Springer busts it open, and even though they took the lead and didn't tack on any more runs, you saw the swings come alive. It only takes one person to knock on that door.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what I say too, and Trudes, I'll go to this one with you. In Seattle, the Jays are down 0-2. Bieber had a pivotal Game 3. Scherzer, the pivotal game in that series. That was, his eyes were all different colors that when he was yelling at Schneider. But a big thing is I believe in karma. I've learned that as a Toronto fan more than ever, from chirping, playing hockey and junior, pointing at the scoreboard when we're winning. You learn the hard way in life. And Seattle fans, I thought they were class until they decided to cheer when Springer is hurt. There's one team that did that in sports that I can remember, and it was the Raptors when Kevin Durant got hurt. And I'm surprised karma didn't bite us in the ass in that point. There's the first and only swear of the segment. But anyway, I think Springer, Trudes, got the last laugh, which karma is a you-know-what.
Well, yeah, and I was going to say the exact same thing. Like, you, in that moment, you're a fan, and yeah, he beat you in the past, and yeah, they got caught for cheating, but I mean, if somebody gets hurt, somebody gets hurt. Like, you don't want to see anybody get hurt, especially in professional baseball. Like, these guys they're still humans. This is their job, and like, nobody deserves to get hurt, no matter what you do. But yeah, as we're seeing fate or karma come around, Springer is the guy to send them home. So, I mean, let that be a lesson to everybody, maybe. I don't know. I actually really enjoyed this series. I thought that it was an outstanding series. And I was under the gauge that, okay, well, you know what? If the Jays lose to the Mariners, I'm going to be rooting for the Mariners in the World Series. At least we got the Yankees. But, I mean, that moment was a bit tough, and then props to John Schneider for calling it out and the press release, because that was a huge moment in itself. What game was that? Was that in Game
5? Right, you talk about Little
game they lost. So calling that moment out, facing elimination, having to win 2 in a row. I mean, this team they continue to impress, they continue to surprise, and they got legendary status.
And if I may just jump on that, do you guys think, I think objectively the answer is the George Springer swing has now eclipsed the Jose Bautista bat flip in terms of relevance in the cultural zeitgeist. I mean, I guess it wasn't as sexy as firing your bat 20 feet in the air, but it was certainly more monumental in the moment.
And Kevin Pillar said that on the broadcast. He said this is the biggest. Like, yeah, this is like, he's like, sorry, Jose, but I mean, this has, overtaken as the biggest swing, like, in the last 30 years since Joe Carter. So, and it is, he punched the ticket to the World Series. Jeff Hoffman, how about that guy? I mean, I can remember
chirping him before the playoffs, man. I was riding him. I
mean, I can remember mid-season being like, you know what, like, is this our guy? Is this the guy that you really want to bring in to close out games? And he got 9 important outs of the series. Shane Bieber didn't have it, but he battled. And that's all that this team does, is they're like a chihuahua. They don't go away. They just stick around, and it's so refreshing to see.
It is. You know what? I'm funny that you said that, Connor. I got asked that so many times today about, is that I wore the Guerrero jersey to work today, and if people know my job, I like to dress up nice. That's how I am. But today, yeah, that is still nice. Don't get me wrong; it's an expensive jersey, but it's felt nice to go around today, and then obviously where I work, people seeing it and giving the thumbs up and being excited. It created happiness, right? All of Canada is behind this team, and I like to think of it almost like a Canada against United States again, right? It's like that Four Nations. We had that treat this year. Wouldn't it be nice if the Jays can beat the Dodgers? But despite where my money's at, but having that bat flip is something that'll always be in my mind. Jose is my favorite Jay of all time, but Springer is the hit that got you to the World Series. You have to say Joe Carter, George Springer, right? I think that's where you got to go. And sorry, Jose, and I don't think he minds. I don't think he minds going down to 3. Then Edwin as well, right? That bat drop against the Orioles but it was a wild card game. It wasn't a game against that got you to go on the ALCS. So I love that. So I think we can all be in agreement that the Springer dinger better than a Joey bat flip. So I guess that we're gonna call it. Is it the Springer dinger, or is it like is that gonna be the title for it in 10 years when we're talking about someone else doing something that might eclipse the Jays on that? But I like to hear comments below on that. What you think, and what's the name of it? What are we calling it? I'm going with Springer Dinger. Make sure I say that slow properly. Now, World Series preview. Keep an eye on my time. Jays and Dodgers. Look, we didn't talk about Milwaukee and LA. Sorry, not much to talk about there except pure dominance between Shohei and the pitching. And Milwaukee, sorry, but better luck next year. That's how the Dodgers treated them in that series. And now the Dodgers have been waiting. They're rested. Hopefully some momentum's been killed. But I want to go around the horn quick about what we're previewing and thinking about the World Series, and then we'll end up with a prediction. And I already spoiled where mine is, but nonetheless, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the preview. What's the key to success for both ends?
Pitching for the Dodgers is inhuman. They've got 4 guys in their rotation who are all ace caliber pitchers. Blake Snell, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, who's a freak. He's like 6'8", and then Shohei, who's like the modern day Babe Ruth. You can't get much better than that. I don't know if the Jays have a single pitcher who's better than any one of those guys. It would be really nice to see if they can work those pitch counts up high, because the one weakness presumably for the Dodgers heading into the playoffs was their bullpen. Now it's been fine, and Roki Sasaki, a 23-year-old Japanese signee that came in this year, has now taken on the closer role for them, and he's regained his velo. But can they get to that bullpen? Can they get to it early? I think you got to knock the starters out. That's the only way the Jays are going to have a chance.
Good point. I see that starting rotation, and I just shivered, but that's wild. But, I also thought George Kirby was going to be a good 7th, or even when the Seattle had him in the game 4, or was it 3? Game 3, whatever. I think it would be game 3 that he started, and they roughed him up for 8. Look, these aces, there's only one ace that I think is the scariest ace in baseball, and he's on the Tigers. Okay, and that is the ace along with the other guy on the NL, and his name's Paul Skeens. Those are 2 guys that can go. The Dodgers, the Jays have seen these pitchers before, especially Glasnow when he spent his time in Tampa. A couple of these guys, and Snell. I think I don't know if they would have saw Snell as much, but because of him playing over in the NL, but. The Shohei treatment, they did see him when he was on LA. It's not like you haven't seen these guys before. Okay, so I scary, but it's breakable. But say that about him, inhumane. That's a great term. Trudes?
Yeah, can they fizzle out the star power? Can they fizzle out the loaded? Can they cool the loaded Dodgers lineup, the potent Dodgers lineup down? That's going to be my big key. My biggest key was Connors. They did a great job with the Seattle pitchers who had, like, their pitching staff's not too shabby. Like, you're looking at, like, George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo, who I thought was crazy that they took out that early. He has some really, really nasty stuff. And the Seattle's bullpen was really good too. So, yeah, can they get to those starters? I think when you look at the 2 best pitchers in the league, like you just mentioned, Skubal and Skeens, the Jays faced both of those pitchers this year, and they did really well considered who those 2 pitchers are. They may have they won the game against Skubal. I was at that game. I can't remember if they won the game against Skeens. I know they got to him a little bit. They lost it.
It was tied, and then Skeens got pulled, and then the Pirates beat them. But so Skeens didn't get a win because he was like 1 for 20 this year, and he had a 1 ERA.
Their hitting coach, like and the team they've got plans going up to the plate. They know where their weaknesses are. Their approach is outstanding, and it's just going to be all about putting the pressure on the defense, which is what they did to Seattle, and hopefully they can do it to the Dodgers too. The one thing, the Dodgers haven't really been pressured this postseason. I mean, put some pressure on them and see what happens. And that's baseball. They can be as all-star potent as they want, but you start getting some pressure on you, and you see how the game changes. Can the Jays starters? I'd like to see them put up a better effort in the World Series. Obviously, it's going to be a really tough lineup again. But yeah, like Shane Bieber, got to be better, I think, right? Like we need you to be. We got you to be an ace in the playoffs, and you've had 3 starts now. Only once we've gotten your best stuff, so got to be better. Scherzer will be ready to go. I know that. Trace, man, like 22 years old, and he goes from high A to the World Series. Like, might as well just retire tomorrow. I don't know, but hey, like what a ride we're on, and we got 4 more games of Blue Jays baseball into late October. I'll go with my prediction if you want. Yeah. I'm gonna be realistic. I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be Dodgers. Hopefully in 6. Give them a little bit of trouble, but I'm gonna go with Dodgers. I think if they execute, they're basically unbeatable.
That's fair. I see no bias on the show. Okay, Connor. Now this will be definitely no bias.
Right. Don't worry, boys. I've got you covered on this one. The Jays are currently living my Tigers' dream, and I want them to fulfill it. I'm living vicariously through you guys, and that's why, with the hope and the prayers of the Toronto faithful and Canada at large, I am predicting that the Jays will fulfill the Cinderella story and win in 7 against the Dodgers on home field at the Rogers Center.
I get shivers thinking about that. Okay, and now I'll say mine. Everyone knows my prediction. Look, I'm a diehard. Everyone knows who I want to win. It's all colored in the background. We're all wearing, but I'm on the others. There's another reason why I'm saying the other team as well, but I've already talked about that on the hockey segment, so I'm not repeating it here. You have to listen to a previous edition or ask me below what you think. But Dodgers, and it pains me to say this, in 7. Toronto loses in 7 in everything. That's how we do things. And to feel pain, that is Toronto sports. But maybe I'm wrong. Is Toronto cursed? Vlad wore the Leaf jersey yesterday, and he wins Game 7 with an Austin Matthews jersey. I saw that. I said, what are you doing? That's the last guy you put on your back in Game 7. Put Willie Nylander, at least somebody who shows up Game 7. But you know what? Realistically, every year, Toronto's make it, or you think they're going to win. I've always predicted that they would do it. Maybe there's a turn in sales with having realistic picks. Maybe that's the karma we'll receive. But I'll say Dodgers in 7. Oh, that hurts, especially at home field. That'd be in Toronto that they win that too, like you said, Connor. That would hurt. That would hurt even more. But love to see it. Seeing the World Series the first time in my life, in our lives. I'm a 91. Trude's, Connor, you guys are 96.
7.
7. Jesus.
Wasn't even born when the Jays went to the World Series last. So, yeah.
No, I've lived through 2 Tigers World Series losses in my day, 06 and 2012. It's not fun. 2012 was heartbreaking because they just got absolutely dominated by San Fran. So hopefully, if the Jays put up some sort of a fight, Bo comes back from the dead to help lead them, like the return of the king.
Back.
He's risen, it.
My thing is, this lineup's doing so well right now, but I guess he said he's gonna be ready on the broadcast. They interviewed him. He said, yeah, I'm good. So you get your biggest bat, you get your best bat from the regular season back in. Yeah. I mean, he's gonna go in for Loperfido. I really like Jimenez at short though. I strongly feel like he made some plays in Seattle, and even against the Yankees, where I was like, I don't know if Bo's making that play.
Bo's going to be DHing, I think, man.
Well, now that you got the spring in the field. So it's like, there's going to be some decisions here. Like, yeah. But
Barrios, where's Barrios? Is he not healthy, ready to come back World Series? Put him in the bullpen. I'd rather him over frickin' Brandon Little.
Yeah, that was.
My God.
Don't let Schneider near Brandon Little, right?
Don't have him near anybody, but get him whoever's in his ear. Fellas, this has been good. Connor, I'm going to sign you off. We're going to get into some chuck-a-puck action. My friend, next time we talk to you, you're going to have something on your finger. I'm not going to show my finger because I forgot to wear the ring. But, yeah, I'll keep mine in my pocket. But we'll be talking World Series when we're back and all that. So I appreciate you taking the time, dude. I know it's a busy week for you.
Thanks, Dave. And I just want to say to all the fans out there, Dave sent me one of the nicest, kindest messages ever a few weeks ago in regards to my wedding. And I just wanted to say thank you. We've changed the show format, so we don't sneak in calls pre and post show anymore. So I'm going to send him a message, but I just wanted to say it to you and to everybody listening. Wish you could be there. Love you, brother. Trudes will be there in your stead, and we're going to be dancing up a storm. So can't wait. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, and I got a little something for you, but we'll talk off air.
Thanks.
Love you, Chubb. My friend, let's do some chuck-a-puck. I know the time McCarthy's going to – I pushed Brendan 5 more minutes. He's waiting in the wings. He's waiting to be accepted by me, so we'll go until he comes in type thing because I wanted to give you – and I know I promised you more last time. But, I want to give you the floor for OHL and Greyhound update that you want to dive into. I know the Hounds made a trade. They got a week preview that you can get into. I'm going to just give you the floor for 5 minutes. So all you, I will add. I'll give the segment of Chuck-a-Puck purely to you today.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I mean, we got, the Blue Jays win the ALCS. We got to take care of that business first, and we got lots of hockey season left. So the OHL news. I'm a big standings guy. The Brantford Bulldogs still without a regulation loss. They're looking really strong so far this year. They have Adam Bennick, one of their imports, 18-year-old import. And obviously, Sioux product Nick Rosetto has had a strong start to the year there. And they'll have Jake O'Brien, Parker Holmes. They're setting up to be, one of the best teams in the East. The Windsor Spitfires, obviously, still looking very, very strong. They did drop a game to the Owen Sound Attack the other night. And they lost to Sarnia, which is, kind of surprising for them. But you know what? They're still, at the top of the Western Conference. As for the Greyhounds, again, like two names I have to talk about here just quickly. Jordan Sharon led the OHL in scoring through the month of September, the Penguins draft pick. And he is currently tied for the most goals in the league with 10. So I feel like that's a name I haven't said too much of ever since he kind of came in last year, late in November. But he's having a really strong start to the year. Quinn McKenzie, newcomer to the Greyhounds this year. Where would they be without him? Hounds fans would know that. He's kind of jumped into that first line centerman role really, really nicely in the absence of Brady Martin. He's got 10 points in 13 games. Soon to be 18-year-old from Maryland, committed to Penn State next year. Wouldn't it be nice if we got him to stick around for another year? But not very likely. But anyway, yes, 2 trades, as you mentioned. Defenseman, an overage defenseman from the Sarnia Sting, Jack O'Brien, and the Greyhounds deal 17-year-old Brady T. Smith to the Flint Firebirds in exchange for 18-year-old Jeremy Martin.
First round picks.
First round picks swapping, little change of scenery to see if that'll help the career trajectory of both young players. But the theme is getting older. So for Hounds fans hoping for another rebuild year, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know yet. It's too early to predict. I mean, these were moves that had to happen anyway. With the only one OA on the roster, Marco Mignosa, like they're going to go after some other overagers, of course. And, the moves aren't really telling yet, but they did get older. So.
And Brady Martin's got to come back from Nashville sooner or later. They're not keeping him the full year.
He's going to come back, and Callum Croskery is also still on the shelf. So, when he comes back, he'll jump into that top 4 pairing. He'll jump into the top 4 pairings of defensemen. So it's too early to tell right now, but they are 3rd in the Western Conference and 4th in the league as a very young team. So it's looking positive so far. It's looking positive.
It is, and that's OHL recap and some Hounds left. On the last thing, 60 seconds about the Hounds. This week in preview, they play tomorrow, which is Wednesday. We're recording on Tuesday. They got Erie, they got Peterborough, and then they're done for the weekend after 2 games this week before going into next week, which we'll talk about next week on the show. But two games that'll be good doozy games here in Sault Ste. Marie starting tomorrow night.
Certainly 2 winnable games. Erie and the Pete's struggling early on in this October. So, if you want to make a case, you got to win these games. You got to win these games now. 2 winnable games. Expect a 2-0 record from the Hounds this weekend.
I concur, and counting down to November 22nd till Jeff Carter gets his number retired here in Sault Ste. Marie. But nonetheless, Trudes, I will assure you, next week we will get back to the regular time slot that Chuck-a-Puck deserves. But the team that got to the World Series took the time from us today. So nonetheless, I want to say thank you for taking the time to also join us for that segment with Strike Zone and doing a quick Chuck-a-Puck here. But we'll see you around the rink this week, and we'll be in touch, my friend.
Yep. Ciao, guys. Take care.
Yeah. Thanks, Trudes. Now, without further ado, just going right into it here. From hockey to hockey, I love this layout. Love this new format. Oh, and baby, it's great to see your face. Okay? Don't tell my wife I called you baby. She might be mad. But besides that, you got the hat on. I didn't change my background. I'm wearing this. Everything's just Blue Jays around. I wore this to work today. So, nonetheless, we're talking top shelf here, my friend. And Brandon McCarthy. Brandon, good to see you, my friend.
Dave, it's a great day.
The Cards.
It's a great effing day to be a Toronto sports fan.
It sure is.
Like waking up today, it felt like extremely surreal because I feel like Toronto fans just can't have nice things. And there was a point yesterday where you could just tell that the fans were getting a little anxious and a little deflated, right? Because people start thinking about the Leafs.
Julio's home run, or the 3-1 home run. Julio's home run. That's where I felt. That's where.
And then the big dumper goes yard 2. And of course, pregame, people were already feeling a little anxious because Vlad decides to wear a Matthews jersey in a do or die game. So I think some fans were like,
"Love it."
Is this to break the curse for the Leafs too? Like, was Vladdy thinking ahead as well? But man, like it's so satisfying, right? Because I said it all along, I do not want to see Seattle and LA like in the World Series. I don't. I know there's a couple Canadians on Seattle, like Josh Naylor's from Mississauga, but all year the Jays have just been proving people wrong. And you know what? Guess what, Shohei? You are, in fact, getting on a bird to TO. So buckle up because your ovation is going to be full of booze, my friend. So I can't wait for Friday, Dave. It's so exciting. It's honestly like it's a where were you moment for George Springer, right? We all remember the Jose bat flip, and
it's surpassed it, dude.
It surpassed it. Like it was unbelievable, man. Like I was watching it. Okay, you get Barger with a walk, right? You get IKF with a little greasy single, and then Andres Jimenez a little sack bunt to advance the runners to second and third. And then it's like, oh my God, bottom 7, similarly to 2015 ALDS. And I was saying earlier in the game too, I'm like, Springer's pissed. He's taking a beating. He had the knee injury. People were throwing at him. And I was like, he's pissed. He's got a crazy look in his eye. Bang, yard, 3-run shot. Good night. See you Friday.
We love 7th innings in Toronto.
Oh man. And it was great to see the Mariners just mope in the dugout. But when Shohei comes to Toronto on Friday, man, like it's going to be like, I mean, I shouldn't even say ovation, just like everyone's going to be standing and just giving it to that guy. It's going to be incredible, the atmosphere. I wish I could go. I'm hoping I can sniff around for some tickets. I'm sure you are as well. But man, it's a great time to be a Toronto sports fan. Let's win the whole damn thing, Dave.
I agree. And you know what? Hopefully Vladdy lifted the curse for the other team, the team that's on the ice, the Toronto Maple Leafs. As I'm still choked up, man. Still choked up. So on the ice, transitioning to the ice, and we're going to go to kind of a different scope here, kind of a free flow today. Some players have come out of the gate hot. Jack Eichel has 16 points. Mark Stone has 13 points. Okay, I don't see Mitch Marner in the old double digits. Okay, just an FYI. All right, Dylan Larkin with 11 points. Willie Nylander, Willie Stiles tied in third. Some players just coming out of the gate hot, and that Jack Eichel is that. And Jack Eichel re-ups on a contract in Vegas. Vegas has a couple guys locked up longer term. Mitch Marner, Jack Eichel, just to name a few. And it looks like, okay, Kirill Kaprizov really trying to find his way. He has 10 points to start the year. There's a lot of guys that are surfing at 10. But Jack Eichel, man, is having a very hot start with 6. You got Scheifele has 7 goals, and Shane Pinto has 7 goals to start the year as a number 1. That is unbelievable. And leading the way when it comes to assists, there, Mitch Marner's name is in there now, but Mark Stone with 11. You can see he's giving that puck to Jack Eichel. So some players starting hot out of the gate, Cart, and a couple of them are from the Vegas Golden Knights, and not all because of Mitch Marner. So
yeah, it's been a bizarre kind of way to start the season. I mean, you've had some goalie blunders. You've had some wild finishes. You've had some powerful comments from some players that I think kind of impacted the locker room. I'm talking about Anthony Stolarz and his comments about William Nylander. I don't did you? I don't know if I really liked it, man. Like couple games into hold on a second. I'll say this.
Yeah.
I appreciate players who are honest with the media, but I feel like you have to address we with the media, right? Like if he came out and said we were shit tonight, we got to be better. This is absolutely unacceptable. There's your headline. But if you're saying stuff about a player without saying his name, like everyone has a phone, everyone has social media, everyone has, a sports highlight show around them, right? Like Willie probably found that out pretty fast. And I just think there has to be a behind closed doors discussion, right? Like if Stolarz took Willie and, went into their player lounge wherever they go after a game or had like a ice bath or something. It's like, Willie, you screwed me tonight, man. Like you got to be better. Like I know you're one of our offensive superstars, but you got to be able to back check, man. Right? I just think it was a little much. I think it was a little much to say this early in the season. Now that they've come back and they've said it's all good. Stolarz and I talked. Berube said, I wish it was kept in the locker room, but I just kind of feel like you might want to stay clear of really bashing a player, especially with Toronto media that blow everything up. So I don't think it was the right move, but it looks like they're moving past it. And, we're recording this, the Tuesday. Leafs are playing the Devils on it's October 21st. So we're halfway through the first period. So hopefully this sparks a bit of a rhythm for Toronto because they've been just so-so out of the gate. And it's great to see that Stolarz has that cup champ mentality, right? But I think you just have to take a deep breath. I know it's the heat of the moment. You got to talk to the media right after the game. But I think if he maybe could go back, you might want to just approach it with a we,
The big thing for me was holding players accountable, but I do agree with being a little bit too early. I feel like Toronto hasn't had a player that held each other accountable, and Stolarz obviously was upset and said something out of impulse, which happens, but you do got to try your best to hold that. So, we talked about guys that are hot out of the gate, but there's also some defensemen that have been hot out of the gate. Gotta spare. Morgan Riley's been hot. Matthew Schaefer looking like he's fitting right in, 5 points, with the Islanders, but the Islanders aren't looking so hot to be honest to start the year, but that's not to be expected. I feel that it's way too early to dive too much into obviously statistics, but there has been some teams that have had some great starts, right? And it's been because of their, the players have done well and it led to overall team success. And, that's one is the Detroit Red Wings. The other one, if you look at, of course, the 5-0 Avalanche and then Golden Knights also 5-0, a couple overtime losses between Vegas and one for Colorado. But the Flames 1-6, Cart. The Lightning 1-3. The Islanders now are 2-3, so I thought they were 1-3. But these, I know it's still early, and you had the Oilers make the Cup final after being 3-13 to start the year at one point. It's still very early, and these are some teams like Tampa that I could feel are bounce back. But there's something about when I watched a little bit of Tampa play this year, and it was the game that I think that they played against, was it Columbus or Detroit? It might have been Detroit last Friday. It was a little bit of Detroit that I watched. And it was a game in overtime that they lost. Yeah, it was Detroit 2-1 that they lost to. And I just felt like, John Gibson obviously stood on his head, but I didn't see the Lightning team, that dominance that this team could be. And I not changing predictions for this year with anything, and it is still early, but the NHL is looking at this point a little bit more wide open early in the season that we can see a lot. And that division, when it comes to the Atlantic, Montreal's looking like they're flying. Detroit's hot out of the gate. I don't think they're going to sustain, but overall, we're in for an exciting season. And out of these hot starts with players and slow starts for teams, Brendan, like, what's standing out to you to start the season so far, only being over a handful of games in?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last pod I was on, when you asked me about Canadian teams who will make it, who will not, I said Sens, Canucks, and Flames won't make it. The Flames have been doo-doo out of the gate. The Sens lost Brady Tkachuk. That's tough. And the Canucks, I think they'll come back down to earth. And I think the Oilers will pick it up. They usually have slow starts to start the season, and then they ramp it up later. Yeah, I think if you want to, I know it's a small sample size, but like pretenders versus contenders, really, like, I think the Red Wings will come back to earth as well. I know McClellan had those pretty poignant comments like after game 1 that basically was Stolarz like, but again, addressing the we, and it's coming from the coach. So I think that's acceptable. I think the Habs, I mean, I was praising them last year too, and I think they are a rock solid team. Like, eventually, like, these young guys gotta put it together. They got a boatload of great talent up front, right? Suzuki, Caulfield, Slavkovsky, Demidov, right?
Demidov
is nasty, man. You locked up Hudson. He had a great play the other night where the Preds were almost able to ice it with an empty net. Hudson blocked it with his chest, then fired a pass up to Caulfield. He sniped it, and then he ended up winning the overtime winner as well. And the Bell Center went rocking. Like, it's good for the NHL if the Habs are doing well, because it just, man, that fan base is like best in the league bar none, right? And I think they're, if you want to do pretender versus contender, I think right now in the East, Detroit, I think, is a pretender, but the Habs, they're a contender, man. That they'll be good. They'll be a good team.
Pittsburgh's also a good pretender, even though they're kind of hot. New Jersey, I know Toronto's playing them tonight. I kind of been waiting for them to have a bounce back kind of time, because they have the pieces in New Jersey. It's like you have pieces, but sometimes it doesn't mesh, right? Sometimes it just doesn't work. I think still, and this isn't a bias decision by any means, I still think the Atlantic, and I know people look at me and say, what about the Central? And I'm not forgetting about the Central because of Colorado, Dallas, Winnipeg, but I still got to give the edge to the Atlantic being the most competitive division in hockey, in my opinion. I think it's the hardest, and maybe the most competitive, like I said.
I think, especially now, because the Habs are starting to heat up, right? The Red Wings are better, right? I still think the West, like the Pacific, is pretty tough too, man. And all right, you got Vegas. Like, Vegas is cooking right now. We'll see. It's very early on. Like, it's a small sample size. Like, teams are just trying to get their legs under them. They're trying to find their chemistry and rhythm. So it is relatively early. But yeah, the Atlantic is continuing to get more competitive for sure.
So before we kind of wrap up Top Shelf, I had two things I wanted to get to. One, I want to give you the floor, but anything you wanted to bring up. But there is one topic that I didn't want to originally bring up, but I will. Joseph Woll, we don't know. We hope everything's okay, right? But this is, obviously concerning, and you hope that he's going to be able to come back. So going to give you the floor on points you wanted to bring up to kind of lead to our conclusion while we wait for Hike to come on, just do in the pocket. But also maybe a comment about Joseph Woll, kind of maybe how you're thinking the situation's being handled in Toronto, because I'm not going to lie to you, they're zipped. It's zipped, and I think Toronto's doing a very non-Toronto job, and I mean that in a chirpy way, because usually everything in Toronto gets out. They're keeping that right close, and nobody knows a thing that's going on with Joseph Woll.
Yeah, and they have the right to. Like, clearly it's extremely serious. I'm not going to comment on it Dave, to be honest, because I don't know much about the situation. Like, we haven't heard anything of late.
Concrete.
So I wish him well, whatever he's dealing with or going through, or if it's a close friend or family member. Like, I wish him good health and love. But yeah, that's all I'll say. Like, I'm not gonna speculate it. I hope he can come back soon. But
Fair.
yeah,
Me too. Good point.
Great dude.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, it is. Very passionate dude. Now, any kind of points you want to bring up that was on your mind? I kind of went by our free flow today as we kind of get back into our rhythm, and it still feels like odd talking about hockey, to be honest with you, because the Blue Jays are in the thick of it. But anything final you want to bring up before we wrap up Top Shelf?
I mean, if you're the Leafs, you saw it in 2019 with the Raps, and now you're seeing it with the Jays. If you need some motivation, watch the Springer home run, watch the Kawhi shot. Come on, boys. Time to feed off it.
I love that. Now, look, it's Par's birthday, and I wished him a happy birthday at the beginning of the show. Well deserving to Parzy for his birthday. I had it. My phone is tomorrow. I said that in our chat. It makes me feel like a crappy friend. I admit when I'm in the wrong, but nonetheless, Par has an excuse to be away, but I'm excited to get the three of us back together and get the mojo going, and a lot of good things to look forward to. Our students start next week for our show as well. Going to have some new stuff, new things, whatever way you want to look at it. Hike, you and I have been doing this as our 10th year, okay? Not 10th year of In the Pocket, we're in season 9, but nonetheless, we've been doing this show for 10 years, okay? The Game Sports Podcast has been around for a long time. And In the Pocket's our longest standing segment that we have had. And you know what? We don't have much time. It's going to be one of our shorter In the Pocket segments this week, which is okay. Okay, there's the Jays invaded the news on this show today, which is well deserving. But I'm going to remind listeners that In the Pocket is in partner with Sportscenter Bar and Grill in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario's best sports bar 5 years in a row, multiple years, best wings. We love. That's the original home recording of the game since 2016. We haven't been there since COVID, but we are still partnered with SportsCenter, and we give credit to Frankie and the crew out there at SportsCenter. It's always a time. If you're enjoying the time in the Soo, you want to get to a sports bar. If you haven't been there, go check out SportsCenter. It's unbelievable. Hike, now, in the pocket, let's kick it off. I'm going to give you the floor. I'm just going to get you to talk about last week. I'm going to put, because I know you're going to summarize it a little bit quicker than me, and you'll talk about the hot news that needs to matter. Then we'll talk about this week and get into our picks to keep the flow quick. But my friend, I'm giving you the floor for last week. Okay, simple as that. What's standing out to you from last week?
Well, I mean, your buddy Joe Flacco took care of business for me. Cincinnati beating up on the Steelers. Two old men just throwing down out there on Thursday night, and Joe Flacco came out the victor. Cincinnati's offense looked okay, so that was interesting. I honestly didn't expect that. Since the pick worked out for me, now I'm just going to gloat about it a little bit.
Ugh.
The Sunday morning game was a little rough. I thought, Jacksonville, beat up on Kansas City a few weeks ago. And then they came out against the Rams and just got absolutely shellacked. I think they said the Rams had been over in Europe for 36 hours before they played that game. And they came out and just pounded them. So, okay, the Jags, again, like every season, are the Jags, and we have no idea what they are. Travis Hunter got his first touchdown, though. That's good for him. And most of his snaps this week he played on offense. Not a lot on defense. I think almost 100% of his snaps were offense. So that's cool. What else did we get last week? There was a couple, the 1 o'clock games were a little... The 4 o'clock...
It looks like,
the Giant,
Lions
like that
game, Buccaneers game.
Yeah, that was a good one last night. I was just trying to think if there's anything notable in the 1 o'clock games on Sunday, but I honestly... There's not anything that stands out. The Patriots are still the real deal. Everyone was happy that Mike Vrabel was back in Tennessee. That was an interesting one. But the 4 o'clock games, like the Denver Giants game, absolutely outstanding. The Giants
too surprised. I didn't think it was going to be a good game. I called that last week actually. I don't think it was going to be that entertaining.
Well, I didn't know they were doing the Ring of Honor or whatever they have in Denver for Demaryius Thomas. So that, when they do things like that, I take my superstitions, take that into consideration, I mean, that was no matter what, Denver was going to win that game. Demaryius Thomas, big icon in the Denver football community there, winning a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, and instilled a lot of traditions in the team. If you watch some of the pregame stuff on the weekend, there was a cool couple tidbits there. Colts beat up on the Chargers. Jonathan Taylor, 3 touchdowns. Probably early MVP candidate. Not tooting my own horn on that one. The Cowboys looked pretty good. Beat up on the Jets. Justin Fields is absolutely hot garbage.
So bad.
Yeah, and then Monday nighters, we had 2 of them last night. That was a toughie. There was a lot of sports going on last night. A lot of sorry, you can hear Sid letting it fly in the background there.
Yeah, that's great.
It's bedtime upstairs, and she is not happy about it. She got to stay up last night till almost the 5th, close to the 6th inning. So
for the Jays,
yeah, she had a late night last night, and she liked it. She got a taste of it. She liked it. But no, the Lions game, I thought that was going to be an absolute back and forth kind of heavyweight fight, and Mike Evans went down early, broken collarbone. I do have
retirement a little bit, maybe.
No,
given injuries. No, Pat, our friend of the show, Pat DeLuca, was over at my house. Actually, he was on In the Pocket for a couple months back in the old day. You can check those. No, you know what? Don't go to Podomatic to check out the show. There's a 3.5 hour episode on there.
Yeah, don't. That's
Yeah, no. But that's what Pat was saying. I actually thought that was a little bit interesting because there's a guy that's had injuries and battling injuries, and then the turf. The turf is there's a lot. I
think he comes back, has another good season, and maybe, calls it. He's not going to go out on an injury. I just don't. The biggest for me, the biggest takeaway from that is how shitty it is that this is how he loses the consecutive 1,000-yard season. I mean, he ties Jerry Rice, but this was the year where he could go ahead and take, sole ownership of that record. And he still, realistically, with the injuries, could have done it. But last night, I mean, broken clavicle, like that sucks.
You're out for a while. I forget what the timeline said, but he's out for a while.
I've only seen one person with a broken, collarbone, whatever that is there, and they look like they got hit with a cannonball. So,
I broke it before, man, and it's not fun to break a collarbone.
It sounds absolutely terrible. 0 out of 10.
I had to sleep in a chair. I had to sleep in a rocking chair for 3 months. I don't know if Mike Evans is going to have to sleep in a rocking chair. I mean, that's a little far-fetched, but that's not a good injury, man. It sucks.
And then there was the Seattle-Houston game. I honestly don't even know the score of that game. I'm assuming Seattle won. I was a little caught up in the post-game, seeing how many times John Schneider was going to drop an F-bomb on TV nonsense that was going on there.
And George Springer was going to talk about his shirt being off. Talk about the shirts being off there. Tarps off is what he was saying. Sorry, tarps off. And that no one was watching that Seattle game. Like, I don't even think Seattle fans were watching unless they were at the game because of what happened at the Rogers Center. 27-19, the Seahawks beat the Texans last week.
All right, so at least it was like a game-ish. But like 10 p.m. start time, that's a tough.
They definitely did that because of the Mariners-Jays game. 150%. Oh, I think so.
The NFL.
You don't think so?
Oh, the NFL.
Oh, they didn't flex it? I thought they flexed it from 8 to 10 o'clock.
No, I think this is just like they're trying out these. See, because the Lions game was on at 7. Monday Night Football is usually on at 8, 8:30.
Wasn't successful.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think you see, if it was a Seahawks game and the Mariners were on, like that's the city got screwed there.
They did.
They could, but anyways, let's throw into this week's picks here, and
yes, love that. So this week's picks, but you got to talk about the standings. No changes, really. It does actually very minimal change.
There's about a 2-game spread between everybody except Tyler's 6 back at EJ. But Hike's pick still in first, 73 points. EJ in second now, 2-point lead over the David Decision, who's in third, and Tyler in fourth. So, I mean, you know what? It's still pretty close. We're within, there's a 10-point range in the group. So anything can happen.
Next week is you and me against each other.
Yeah, there's a couple good weeks coming up here.
A couple good weeks, and the Colts looking real hot. I'll go first with the picks this week, so no one thinks I'm stealing Hike's picks from being in first. That's kind of
You
the
might
tradition
be.
on this show. Chargers over the Vikings, Falcons over the Dolphins, the Bengals over the Jets, the Patriots over the Browns, both those games in laughable wins. The Eagles over the Giants, Bills over the Panthers in a sneaky good game. Saying it right now. Ravens over the Bears, Niners over the Texans, Buccaneers over the Saints, Broncos over the Cowboys. That's hard. I think that's going to be a good game as well. Colts over the Titans. Titans don't stand a chance in that game. Packers over the Steelers. Let me remind you, I'm a Steelers fan. I just got to get no bias. Kansas City Chiefs over the Commanders. And the scores, I got 42-21 Chiefs over the Commanders. And I got the Packers over the Steelers 27-24 and a win over a field goal. Just got that feeling. Who will score the most points this week? Buffalo. And don't forget, I said the Chiefs would have 42. And the least this week will be the Jets.
All right, so we're a little close on some things. But I got the Vikings over the Chargers, Falcons over the Dolphins, Bengals over the Jets, Patriots over the Browns, Giants over Philly, going to sweep the season. Saquon's hosing me in fantasy, so you know what? F the Eagles. That's how I feel right now. Bills over the Panthers, Bears over the Ravens, San Fran over Houston, Tampa over the Saints, Dallas over Denver, Colts over Tennessee, Packers over Pittsburgh, and KC over Washington. KC 34, Washington 17, Green Bay 27, Pittsburgh 24.
Oh, you got the same. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Most points this week, the Colts. Least points this week, the Jets.
We're pretty close. Great minds do think alike. At least no one thinks. So one quick thing before we go. Toilet bowl and game of the week. I'm going to go, you know what? It's hard. But I'm going to look as a toilet bowl game of the week, and you may disagree, you may agree. That's totally fine. But I got to say the Jets and Bengals. Sorry, I'm going to say the Jets in my toilet bowl. I almost said Dolphins, Falcons, but no, that was a very close second. But the game of the week, you know what? And this is no bias. I just think this is going to be a good damn football game. It's going to be tight down to the finish. I'm going to say Packers Steelers. You know, I think that's going to be a very close football game. It's going to go down the wire. You and I both picked 27-24. I picked by a field goal in the last drive of the game. Look, this is going to be an exciting football game to watch. I'm telling you, right from start to finish. If it was in Green Bay, I'd be a little bit more concerned about it not being closer because I think Green Bay is a damn good team. I think the Steelers are good and a playoff team, but the Packers are just, I like what they're packing. And that's my game of the week. Hike, what's your toilet bowl and game of the week?
I mean, we have the exact same picks. I'm not even trying to. That Cincinnati Jets game, I think Cincinnati's going to roll them. Should be a good fantasy week for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And if you need a quarterback, because it's a lot of heavy buys this week, Flacco is available in a lot of leagues. So, I mean, he's pulled out high 20s, low 30s, depending on your league scoring the last 2 weeks. So, you know, that's a pretty good one out there. But that Sunday nighter, I think, honestly, it's not often you look forward to a Sunday nighter, and the Aaron Rodgers, revenge games are always a good one to circle on the calendar. So,
yeah, and I want this as a Steeler fan, I want to see them win, but no bias on the show, right?
When I made my picks, I thought they were playing in Green Bay, and I already saved them. So let's go Green Bay. You could do it.
Goodness gracious. Okay, so there's the picks. There's the games of the week. Hike, this has been In the Pocket, my friend. We're ending on time for us. We're 5 minutes over technically on the show, but that's because of the Blue Jays chat. So nonetheless, that gets a bye this week to that. So Hike, I want to say thank you to my friend for another week of chatting in the pocket. Dane couldn't join us as anticipated today, but he'll be making his return to the game, chatting a little bit of football. To Grant, it's a little bit short notice on the alert, so that could be my fault. So hopefully he can make his appearance next week in EJ's absence. But again, my friend, thanks for taking the time as always, dude. It's always
good to be here. Another big sports weekend coming up. We got going on here. So let's get ready for it. Hopefully the Leafs can figure themselves out while no one's paying attention. And this time the Ohtani flight to Toronto is real.
Yes, it actually is real. That's I've heard that multiple times today too. I love it. I love it. The taste in Canada right now is fire. Thank you, Toronto Blue Jays. And I love your background. I gotta make sure I say that every show. Hike, my friend, thanks for taking the time again. And this has been the Game Sports Podcast. You've heard In the Pocket here, which is partnered by Sportscenter, but the Game Sports Podcast was powered by 91 Network and featured on Spaces. I want to say thank you to Connor Henderson and congratulations for his upcoming wedding this weekend. I also want to say Jordan Trudeau, thank you for taking time for joining Strike Zone and Chuck-a-Puck. And then, of course, Brendan McCarthy for Top Shelf. And thank you again to Justin Hykel. And to top it all off, Alex Parr, a little reminder, happy birthday to the man, the myth, the legend himself. Alex Parr, happy birthday. Definitely an excuse for him to not be here tonight.
No, it isn't.
He's back next week. It's birthdays. You don't need to record on your birthdays. Now, again, thank you to all of you. Make sure you hit like, follow, and subscribe on all the platforms you can hear us on, especially social media, Instagram, TikTok, as well as YouTube through 91N. And until next week, I'm here to remind you to keep your stick on the ice, swing your bats, catch your touchdowns, train your threes, and shoot your shots. Booyah.